Hi guys, welcome to Merolek Royal Garments House, Abuja, Nigeria, home of modest outfits. So today, I will be drafting out a button-up shirt for ladies. If this is what you are interested in, sit glued to your screen and watch the video to the end. All right guys, so let's go to the table. All right guys, so to begin this tutorial, this is what we have to do. I'm going to mark from this edge here inward 2 inches. That is going to be our button placket, all right? The space for our button, 2.5 inches. So I'm marking 2.5 inches. All the way to where we are going to have the length of our shirt. So I'm going to use my ruler to connect these dots together to have a straight line like so. So the next thing to do is to mark our starting point at the shoulder part. So I just simply mark 1/2 inch like so. So I will connect the dots together to also have a straight line here. All right, so at this point, I'm going to insert the length of the top. So I'm having 24 inches is going to be the length of the shirt, all right? But I'm going to add 2 inches for hemming allowance. 24 inches is the length, and then I'm adding 2 inches. So altogether we have 26 inches for the length. I'm just simply doing the same thing here so I can get a beautiful line here. All right, so now we've gotten the length of our shirt. So the next thing to do is to insert body measurement. So I'm going to mark from this point here, I'm going to mark 10 inches. That's from here to my bust point is 10 inches. And then to my half length is 16 inches. So I'm just basically doing the same thing this way so that I can have a good straight line. So I'm simply still marking my bust point and then my half length. Already we have the full length of the top. So the same thing, I'm still doing the same thing here, like so. So I'm going to connect these dots together. All right, so the next thing to do now is to insert my shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8, right? All right, so that's what I'm simply marking here. And then I'm going to mark the neck width I'm taking 3 inches, and then the neck depth is also 3 inches, like so. Good. So I'm going to connect. Like so. I'm going to have a round neck. So I'm going to use my curve ruler to get my round neck done, like so. In case you don't have a curve ruler, please make use of your free hand and it will come out still nice. Okay, so the next thing to do is to come down from our shoulder, to come down by 1 inch. This is just so to create our shoulder slope. All right, you know, our shoulders are kind of slanted, not straight. So this is what we have, like so and like so. Okay, so the next thing to do is to insert our armhole measurement. So to do that, I'm going to divide my bust round measurement by 6, adding 1 inch. Or I can just come up from here. This is my bust point. I can just come up by 2 inches. So whichever side you choose is still fine. You'll still arrive at the same thing. All right. Okay. So I'm going to this is to get my chest line. This is to get my chest line to enable me insert my armhole measurement. So this is from my bust point upward is 2 inches. So I'm going to drop a dot from there, and then I'm going to mark whatever measurement I have from this place to this place. I'm going to bring it down here as well. This is just so I can get a straight line or to create my armhole. So I have 8 inches here, exactly 8 inches. So I'm going to draw this line straight to meet with this dot here, like so. So in order to have a straight line, I'm just simply marking my 2 inches here. These 2 inches we have. This is just so I can get a straight line, like so. Good. And so the next thing to do, from the middle of my armhole, this is 8, I will come in by half an inch, like so. From here, I'm coming inward, not outward, inward by half an inch. So I'm going to connect it from here to here. But before then, I have to mark my bust round measurement. So the bust round measurement I'm working with is 36. So 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I'm going to insert the 9 here, like so. And then on the bust area, I'm still inserting the 9, like so. So I'm going to connect from here, here, and then to here. This way, you can use your free hand just in case you don't have this equipment. So I'm connecting it like so. Like so. All right. So I'm going to add my ease allowance. The ease allowance I will be needing here will be 1 inch for ease allowance. Remember, the shed we are making is not fitted. It's kind of free. So we have to have ease allowance before you add your sewing allowance. So ease allowance is actually different from sewing allowance. All right. Ease allowance is when you don't want your dress to be really fitted on your body. You want it to have some space. So you add ease allowance for that before you now add your sewing allowance. So I have added my ease allowance from my bust round measurement divided by 4. This is it. This is here to here is 1 inch. So I'm going to add my sewing allowance 1 inch. So the same thing here. Good. And so to the waist round measurement I'm working with is 32. 32 divided by 4. We have 8. So I'm going to be inserting the 8 here like so. I'm also going to add my ease allowance, which is 1 inch, and then sewing allowance 1 inch. All right. The hip measurement I'm working with is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. So this is the hip measurement here, 10. And then 1 inch for ease allowance, and then 1 inch for sewing allowance. Now, you must note that the 1 inch I'm adding for ease allowance is not fixed. It depends on what you want. That is to say, how free you want the shirt to be. You can add 1.5, 2 inches. The choice is totally yours. So I'm going to connect the dots like so. And then like so. So the next thing to do is to add ½ inch sewing allowance like so. From here, we are going to add your ½ inch sewing allowance. So this is it. Do not forget to add your ½ inch sewing allowance, because by the time you cut exactly here, you will be needing ½ inch to sew it to your collar, and that would have reduced your measurement by ½ an inch. So the neck will be too wide. This is the reason for your ½ inch measurement. All right. So by the time you cut it here, you'll be using here to sew, and you still have your 3 inches neck depth intact. And so the next thing to do here is to eliminate this point here, so that at the end of the day, when you're done sewing, your top will not be having, or your shirt will not be having those pointy points by the side. To do that, you're going to come up by 1.5 inches. This is also optional. It depends on how you want to curve the side of your top. So you can make it more than 1.5 inches. All right. So we are done with the front pattern. We are going to cut it out right away. So I've added every allowance I will be needing for this top, except for the upper part, all right, the shoulder part. I will be doing that after I had already cut out from the pattern paper. So I'm cutting it out right now like so. before we cut the neck depth, this is what you will have to do. From this line, you have to fold it this way. And then you will have to cut the neck design like so. All right. So the next thing to do is to get the design. You understand that a shirt usually have this come down, right? Like you will have the backside coming to the front, which makes your shirt very professional and accurate. So to get that design, this is what you will do. You will simply mark 1 inch from your shoulder downward, 1 inch, like so. And then you will connect this way. And so you will cut this side out. This side, you're going to add it to the back side when you're cutting the back side. All right. So, but for me, I won't just cut it out like so. I have to add my sewing allowance, ½ inch sewing allowance. The reason is that when I'm using this to cut on my fabric, I wouldn't forget to add my sewing allowance. All right. Because if you cut this out, as you're using this pattern to cut on your fabric, you will have to add your sewing allowance. So I am just adding it here just so I don't forget when I'm cutting it on my fabric. So I'm going to mark my sewing allowance, which is ½ inch right away. So I'm cutting this out. I hope you get the logic here. I would have cut it out 1 inch, but by the time you're attaching this to the back side, you will be needing sewing allowance. So this is just my sewing allowance. All right. Okay, so let's go to the back side. Now to draft the back side, unlike the front side, we came in by 2.5 inches for button. All right. And then at the front side, I also came down by ½ inch. But in this case, I'm going to come down by 2 to 2.5 inches. Now you will get to understand why that. So I'm marking 2.5 inches like so. So I'm going to connect. This is going to be our starting point. In this case, for the back side, we are starting at the very beginning of this paper because the back does not have button. So we are going to insert our shoulder measurement, which is 8. The same thing we had at the front side. All right. And then the neck depth or the neck width for this one is 3 inches. The neck depth will be 1 inch. So we are going to connect like so. Before we proceed, remember at the front side, I added ½ inch for sewing allowance. All right. So the same thing you will do at the back side. You will add your half-inch sewing allowance like so. And so the next thing to do is to mark the same thing we did at the front side. We are marking bust point and then your half length. Also the full length of the top. So I'm just simply doing the same thing just so I can get a straight line at the end of the day. So I'm going to connect the lines. All right, so the next thing to do is to mark our shoulder slope, and then we will connect it to the neck width like so. And then we will come up by 2 inches just like what I did in front like so. This is going to be our chest line. So also whatever I have here, which is the shoulder measurement, I'm going to bring it down here. This is just so I can have a straight line for my armhole measurements. All right, so this is our 8. I'm going to draw a straight line to meet this, and then all right, so at this point the back armhole is slightly different from the front armhole. So I'm just going to bring my curve ruler, or before then I'm going to mark my bust round divide by 4. Remember we have 9 inches, right? 36 divided by 4 is 9. So that is what we have here. So I'm marking our 9 inches like so. Good. So that is what we have. And then we are going to add our ease allowance, and then I will increase our sewing allowance as well, just like what we have in front. The same thing I'm going to insert here on this our bust point line like so. Then I will add our ease allowance and then our sewing allowance. And then here 32 divided by 4, we have 8 inches. So whatever you have in front, that is also what you're going to insert at the back side. Remember to add your ease allowance and then your sewing allowance. Then at the um down part, we have 40 divided by 4, 10, and then your ease allowance and then your sewing allowance. So we are going to connect like so. So make sure to blend so you will not have those pointy points here. Also remember to come up by 1.5 inches, just like what we did in front, to eliminate the pointy points at the down part. So like so. All right, so at this point we are going to work on the shoulder part of this top. There's this come down we usually have in a shirt top, all right? In front, remember we took out 1 inch. So we are going to bring that 1 inch to the back. You're just simply going to add that 1 inch you took from the front side. So you're going to add it like so. From this line, you're marking 1 inch upward. So this is how to get that come down we usually see in shirts, all right? So 1 inch. All right, so I'm going to connect like so. Now, this is the 1 inch we took from the front side of the shirt. We have just simply added it here. But remember, to join this back side to the front side, you will be needing sewing allowance. So we have to add our sewing allowance 1/2 inch upward. From this line, we are going to add 1/2 inch upward. If you don't do that and you cut it exactly like this, by the time you're joining it to the front side, it will be short by 1/2 inch. So we are going to add 1/2 inch from this line upward. This is going to be for your sewing allowance. If you forget to do this, you're going to run short of your measurement by 1/2 inch. So I hope this is clear enough, right? Very simple. Good. So I'm going to cut it out right now. We are done. So you can see the reason why you have to add this excess allowance at the upper part. It's just for this purpose. If you don't have this excess allowance here, you can't achieve this come down that we did here. So this is what we have. Very well drafted out, right? Good. So to sew it, to sew these two together, this is what you have. By the time you're sewing the back and the front together, this is what you will have. So this is the front and this is the back. So can you see? This is going to come in like this. So this is your sewing allowance. By the time you sew it like this, you already have your exact 1 inch here, from here downward. So if you don't have this 1/2 inch, you're going to make a mess of your outfit. All right, guys. So I'm going to use this to cut to the fabric we are going to be sewing. So guys, thank you so very much for watching. If you know this video is helpful to you in any way, please give me that your thumbs up. Also let me know in the comment section. Till I come your way next time with another informative, educative, and instructive tutorial. Bye bye for now.